Starts and we are here to make your weekend a profitable one through the props betting market. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com, being joined as always by my fellow prop masters, Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com and Andrew Innes from WagerTalk.com. We're going to be breaking down three quarterbacks in the NFL, and we're going to take a look at their passing totals, whether we like the over or the under. We're going to get into some CFL Team Totals, some UFC props. Matt was at ACC Media Day, so he's going to give us some notes, see if we can get a little insider information that may help us with college football season. And then, of course, we have our best bet. At the end of the show, we'll be looking at an MLB prop. Gentlemen, we got three quarterbacks, so we're just going to get right into it. Matt, I'm coming to you first. Tell everyone what you have up, what we got for this weekend, and then you picked him, Patrick L. Mahomes. I've never heard him referred to as Patrick L. Mahomes, but we are going to do that on the show. So thanks for being here. Talk to us about Mahomes and what do you have up for this weekend?
Baseball props, and we'll start putting up some more win totals for college football as we continue to work on those. You can find those. Gold Sheet's doing a great job of publishing all the stuff that I've done so far, so you can find that stuff on Gold Sheet, and certainly I'll be doing a lot more with them as we go along. Yes, so it's ironic. So you said to us before the show, pick three quarterbacks we didn't do, and I looked at the list and I'm like, the best guy, Patrick Mahomes is available, and so I nominated him, and then I'm like, well, wait a second. That was probably a bad nomination for me, at least, because his number is like it might as well be 6,000 yards because it's just really high. And you look at what he's done. He's pretty consistent around between 4,800 and 5,200. He threw for 5,250 yards last year. And when you're kind of handicapping the Chiefs, you know that they're not going to run the ball as much. And the one thing you kind of have to wonder here, at least a little bit, is Eric Bieniemy going elsewhere. What does that mean for this offense? Does it mean that things are going to change a little bit? We know that Andy Reid's the play caller, but we also know that Eric Bieniemy put his influence in there. So I wonder how much things will change a little bit. He's going to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. The Chiefs' defense is good. It's not great. It's good enough to get you into shootouts when you need to. We know the Chiefs' schedule always tough. They're always going to play the best teams because they're always finishing first in that division. Long and short of it is, I hate kind of playing these that are too high or too low because, as we always say, if he gets hurt, then the under's the easy play here. I would lean to the over here only because it's Patrick Mahomes, but it is a really high number in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's really hard to go, Mahomes under, but then they throw this massive number out there. And one of the things I looked at, Matt, they have a tough schedule, and I think that's going to help him get a lot of yards because I think they're going to be in some close games, and they definitely have some shootouts on this schedule. Some of the games that could be shootouts or could be really close where they may not be running the ball to run out the clock at the end. They start off with the Lions and the Jaguars. Those could easily be shootouts. They have the Jets, the Vikings. That has shootout written all over it. They get the Broncos twice, who I think we all think are going to be better. The Chargers twice. Those can be shootouts. Dolphins, that can be a shootout. Eagles, we saw what happened with that game. They have the Bills, Patriots, Bengals. I think this is good. I think this goes over if he plays all the games. Of course, that's a big if, but looking at that schedule, not a lot of games where he's going to be able to take off and just hand the ball to Pacheco for 20 times and, maybe McKinnon for another 10. So I think he's going to have a lot of attempts in this one. Not a great running game for Kansas City, 9th fewest rush attempts last year. And the depth chart at wide receiver is concerning, but I think I'm pretty sure we said we were concerned with the depth chart last year on the wide receivers, and it just didn't matter. So fantasy drafts, I'm looking to take Mahomes early. I'll be that guy that takes him too early. The guy is just money, and I also like Sky Moore. The report so far is that he's going to be the number one slot receiver. I could see him having a ton of those 7-8 yard catches, almost kind of Travis Kelce-esque, where get him the ball, have him make a couple moves. And, those yards after catch, they still count. So I'm inclined to go over I don't think I'll pull the trigger on it because I can't get there. If he sprains an ankle and misses a couple games, your over is dead. But boy, if he plays all the games, I think he sails over it. Andrew, what do you think about Mr. Mahomes here? 4,800.5. You like the over or the under?
Well, I think he's Patrick Mahomes. You guys touched on it. Everyone knows the greatness, that he brings to the table as far as fantasy-wise every single year, as far as just, the results for his team goes. But, Andy, you talk about fantasy football. He's obviously a big name when that's concerned. But this reminds me of, kind of looking at, for the NHL, I've been talking recently about the new rookie sensation Bedard. I feel like no matter what number they'd put for his goal number on the year, people want to bet the over because of his name and who he is, and it's exciting. And I feel like, really the past few years, people have been trying to find opportunities to bet the under on season-long props for Mahomes, but it just hasn't been there. He just keeps beating that number, going over that number. You mentioned yards after catch, the tougher schedule. I just think that yards after catch, it makes sense what you said, of course, that they can still create, and that's how you get yards. But I don't think he'll be going deep as much this year. And that's where you do rack up some of those. And sometimes I hear you with, games that are tight. Maybe you aren't running the ball as much, but also games that are blowouts. You have to get to the blowout by throwing the ball a lot and getting a big lead. And if there aren't as many blowouts, I don't think that, he will be getting over this number. I feel like there will be a lot more dink and dunk with this Patrick Mahomes-led team. And when I say that, let's be careful here with obviously he's still going to go deep, still going to go downfield. I just don't see as much of it. Last year, I felt like people were thinking that would be the year for it. No Tyreek Hill. They wouldn't be going downfield as much. It's still Patrick Mahomes and a great Chiefs offense, but I feel like this year it might be, like you said, throw it 10 yards and see what the receivers can do. Not as many of those, getting out of the pocket and throwing it 40, 50, 60 yards like Mahomes does so easily. So if anything, for me, it would be the under. And you talked about injuries. It's what we've been talking about every Friday here on Prop It Up. And, well, as Mahomes, as much as he makes it look like he can battle through everything, we saw him on the quarterback documentary just raging at his coaches about not wanting to get out of the game. He seems to get injured. And if he gets injured, they've proven to still be able to manage without him. And when you're a great team, well, you probably don't want to let him come right back in the game or even, rush him coming back too fast because they were already are going to be in good standing. So if anything, for me, it's the under in this one.
Yeah, these big numbers are just so hard to take over. You just need everything to go right. One little thing goes wrong, and the bet is shot. So that's Patrick Mahomes. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Raven Ron, love you. Already, Matt and Raven Ron are clamoring for Tucker to be the MVP of the league for the kicker. That's Matt and Raven Ron's favorite player in the NFL, I believe. Shout out to Tom. Had a really, really good day in KBO. If you guys want to hear us break down any other player props in the NFL before the season starts on their totals, just put it in the comment section below. Don't put it in the chat. I probably forget it. So as soon as the show ends, just put it in the comments, and we will break down another player. Andrew, I'm coming to you first on this next guy. I thought of you. You had a bet on Mac Jones, and you were actually at the game last season when this happened. So we got to talk Mac Jones. Crazy year for him. 3,300.5 yards is his season total. Tell us what you have up at WagerTalk.com. I know you got a really nice promo code. And then what do you like about Mac Jones? 3,300 over under.
Yeah, Andy, looking forward to a great weekend. First of all, the UFC is going to be unreal. It is a great card. I do have a best bet on one of the bigger fights, but for the most part, earlier on in the fights is where I will be involved in. I can't wait for that card, guys, and make sure you get a weekend pass, 3-day or 7-day, and take $30 off that 7-day using the promo code AM7. Got a CFL best bet going this weekend as well on a 3-1, 5% run this season, 75%. So join me on those 5% plays in CFL action, including a play tonight. Look, Mac Jones, what can we say about him besides I just love betting his completion props because they wouldn't let him pass longer than 10, 15 yards last year. I got into a heated debate with somebody last week about Mac Jones, and it kind of bothered me, guys, because I'm not even a Patriots fan. But I felt like I was defending this guy. And I'm happy to see them switching things up with who's calling the plays, because it was the most conservative, soft, risk-free play calling I've ever seen in my life. And they haven't really given this guy a chance to see what he's capable of. And the person I was arguing with pretty much told me they know what he's capable of. That's why they weren't giving him the opportunity. But, I think they do have guys that can catch the deep ball. They did, of course, lose some people. But look at the division. This morning when I was thinking how I was going to approach this and what I was going to say to you guys is look around. I mean, Andy, you talked about how close games sometimes can make a guy's numbers go over. Well, if you're beating teams, maybe you can run the ball into the ground. But look at this stacked division they're playing in every single week, and their divisional matchups are going to be tough. They're going to have to put up points on the board. They cannot rely on their defense. They cannot be settling for field goals. So whether they like it or not, they're going to have to let Mac Jones loose a little bit and make some plays and make some deeper throws. So he might have thrown the ball a lot last year, but he wasn't throwing the ball very far. It was just very often. So the pass completions will probably still be a prop I'll look at this year, but I might look at some pretty good ones for the longest completion for him, where that was a prop I never looked at last year. They're going to find themselves in some spots where I think they're down 10, 13, 14 points where they have to let Mac Jones throw the ball. So I'm going to go to the over in this one, and I think that a lot of the reason for that is because I think that they're going to be in some trouble if he can't throw the deep ball this year. They're going to have to let him loose a little bit, Andy.
Letting Mac eat. Let Mac Jones
let him
eat.
cook.
Yes. let Mac cook. Coming to you, Matt Josephs. Do you think Mac Jones is going to get in the kitchen and cook for us this year? Do you like the over, or are you liking the under at 3,300 and a half yards?
Well, the number one thing, and by the way, Mac Jones' number on FanDuel is 32 and 50 and a half. So there's a 50-yard difference. There was a 150-yard difference for Patrick Mahomes on FanDuel. The number one thing that Andrew didn't say is they have a legit offensive coordinator now. They don't have a defensive guy calling offensive plays. Matt Patricia's not there anymore. So, I think that we're going to see an improvement in Mac Jones. I think we're going to see a better quarterback. Now, what's a better quarterback for Mac Jones? I don't know. You look at his 2 years of statistics, and you see 3,801 yards 2 years ago, and you see less than 3,000 last year. I don't think he's going to approach 4,000 yards. We don't need him to for this prop. So I think the number one thing, and I'm leaning towards the over here, is he's got a legit offensive coordinator now in Bill O'Brien. So you have to kind of go back, and if you're going to take a look at this prop, you got to go back and look at what Bill O'Brien's done in previous offensive systems and look at what he's done. And you see they're going to run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson's going to get 20 to 25 carries a game, especially when it's close. But as Andrew said, Patriots are going to be behind in a lot of games. And so they're going to have Mac Jones throw. I have a slight lean to the over here. I think that Mac Jones approaches, 3,400 yards passing. I think the fact that he's got an actual offensive guy in his ear now is going to be a help. Plus, he's got Juju Smith-Schuster, and we all know how great Juju is. I mean, come on now, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, for the record, Matt, I did say I'm happy there's a different play caller this year. I should have been more specific with you, but I did say there is a different play caller this year, and it makes a big difference,
I just didn't hear the name, so therefore I was like, maybe I should say the name of the guy.
Well, Andrew, you didn't need to say different. It's just there is a play caller. we got one. We got a play caller. So, Matt, you brought it up. Odd receiving core here. We talked about the Giants, and we're going to talk about the Giants with our next quarterback. But Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker, and Juan. I don't know make of. I don't really know what to make of this wide receiver core. I think their defense is going to be really good. I could see some low-scoring games. I could see some long, drawn-out drives here with Ramondre Stevenson. I also think there is a possibility that last year could have messed with him a lot. And what if he's just not comfortable? He gets off to a slow start. If Belichick and them see that we got a great defense, and they see that maybe we got a really, really good shot and Mac Jones isn't getting it done, maybe they make a change at quarterback. And then, of course, you have the injury that could happen. I have reasons to lean towards the under. The dink and dunk offense, I guess you could say that Devontae Parker can stretch the field, but this is a pretty easy passing attack to try and defend. I just think there's too many things that could happen that makes this go under. So I am going to take the under on Mac Jones. It's not going to be an official client play, but this is a team I don't want to have any over in the passing game. So Mac Jones, 3,300. Seems like we're a little wishy-washy on this one, but yes, having a play caller will absolutely help. We're going to talk Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, Chris Allen, the great Chris Allen here at WagerTalk asked for us to talk about Mr. Dimes getting a lot of dimes in his new contract. They have his total at 3,300 and a half yards. I will start with this one. I have a promo code that is up past 3 PASS3. Get you 3 days for $20 off. And we do this every single Friday. So if you want to get our weekend plays, we have UFC plays that are up. We will have MLB plays. We already have one that is up today. We got a Formula One race, and we have a golf tournament going on. So we will be in action for several plays for this weekend. We also got some CFL action as well. Pass 3, get you a 3-day pass, $20 off. I can make this quick. Daniel Jones had 5 games where he passed for over 200 yards last year. Not 300, 200. He only went over 200 yards in 5 games. Under. Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell. Oh man, what a horrific. I have no reason to think. I have no reason to think Daniel Jones will go over in anything passing related. He only had 15 touchdowns last year. I don't know what his touchdowns is, but I would go under on that one. This is an anemic offense. Okay, they got Saquon Barkley back, but he's going to get 1 million carries. He's on a 1-year deal. Obviously, the Giants are going to run him into the ground. I don't see it for Daniel Jones. He went under this total last year. He's going to probably be more effective with his legs than he is in the passing game. I cannot find any reason to take an over for Daniel Jones. So, Matt, coming to you. I don't know. You looked this one up. Did you find any reason to take Daniel Jones over?
So he's 3,200 and a half on FanDuel. So if you do like the over, you're going to probably play it on FanDuel because there is a bit of a difference. But I will play devil's advocate here. And I'm a guy who all along has said, not necessarily just on this show, but in other places, like I wanted to see what Daniel Jones looked like with a legit offensive play caller, a legit offensive mind. He had Jason Garrett. Like, who succeeds under Jason Garrett? Nobody succeeds under Jason Garrett. And now he's got Brian Daboll. And you look at the number last year. He had no one to throw to, Andy, and he had 3,205 yards passing. And look, I'm not going to say that his wide receiving core is going to get any better, but it's not going to get much worse than it was last year. And if you look at it, he did add Darren Waller. I mean, Darren Waller's going to give him actually a better option. You look at Paris Campbell. I think we all kind of liked Paris Campbell in Indianapolis. You can speak on that better than us because you're the Colts fan. He's got, they added Cole Beasley and Jamison Crowder. So obviously, if we're having a slot competition, the Giants are going to win that one. But, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, there are some decent options here. Devil's advocate here, I kind of like the over only because he went to 3,200-ish last year with a worse wide receiving core, now as a legit tight end. And I think there's a chance that Saquon either gets hurt or Saquon, maybe he gets unhappy at some point with the contract during the season and maybe he's not there. And so they do have to rely on Daniel Jones a little bit more. It's not one of my favorite plays by any stretch, but I could certainly see a path to him getting over this number. It's just one of these ones that you have to hold your nose and basically hope for a couple of 250-yard games that kind of help you out there. By the way, Andy, his touchdown total is 16.5 in the book I'm looking at right now.
That's probably the right number. That's probably exactly where it needs to be. Andrew, what do you think? Danny Dimes, 3,200. I see 3,300. We see 3,200. So take your pick. Which number do you like based on whether you think over or under?
Yeah, the only number I like is betting over on rushing yards for this quarterback. I don't like betting on him throwing the ball. So I'll leave it at that pretty much. I mean, look, people talk about an improved offense, bringing in weaponry. That's all I've seen. Every article I looked at, well, they brought in new weaponry. This guy, he threw all kinds of interceptions to start his career off, and then he had a great year. I mean, I feel like somebody's trying to convince me to bet is over when I'm reading these articles. I'm just like, look, if I'm reading these and I have to be convinced to bet the over, then it's the under all day for me. I mean, there's too many ifs, too many what ifs, too many new pieces. There's too much going on that is banking on other people to do things. He is the quarterback. I get it. You need pieces around you. I understand that. But what you said at the top, Andy, what I was going to say the same thing is like what he averaged, I think 200 yards per game is not impressive. And compared to this number we're looking at, we're hoping some of the pieces that he added that Matt just listed off can make that much of a difference. And frankly, I just don't think they will. So I'm on the under here.
All right, great stuff there with Patrick L. Mahomes, Mac Jones, and Daniel Jones. Again, if you want to hear us break down any more players for next week for their season totals, simply put them in the comments section below right after we're done recording, and we will be more than happy to break those down. I don't think we need a particular position. Just pick a player you like, and we'll try and break them down. All right, gentlemen, we're going to go to some smaller topics, and then we will get into the best bet. Andrew, coming to you first. CFL, we're going to talk some team totals. I like this. I don't think we've done CFL team totals, but we're, enough into the season where these teams really, really kind of have some character, and we kind of know what to expect. So what are you finding in the team totals market in the CFL?
I'm finding that a lot of times when you're looking to bet overs, it's really one team that's carrying the bulk of the scoring. And a lot of these teams that end up winning, their team total over is cashing quite easily. But the over is coming nowhere near close to hitting, and I take a look at these numbers. They don't make adjustments to when teams start to get better. Now, using tonight's example here on Friday night, Ottawa versus Hamilton, this is an opportunity where you have two teams, I think, that are going in different directions, but an Ottawa team that has their third string quarterback playing as the best quarterback they've seen all season long, Dustin Crum. And, some might say, well, maybe he's overhyped right now. Maybe this isn't as good as he's going to be the rest of the year. But that's not going to stop tonight. He's playing Hamilton, and Hamilton gave up 29 points to the Edmonton Elks. They give up 29 points to Matt, Andy, and I if we were out there throwing the pigskin around. They have a horrible defense, and they're bringing back Bo Levi Mitchell. He was injured. They're bringing him back now. I don't think that he's the guy they thought he was as far as Hamilton's concerned. I don't think he'll have success, which means I think Ottawa will have the ball quite a bit. And Dustin Crum's been slinging it. Back-to-back outright wins for Ottawa as pretty decent-sized underdogs, and a lot of that due to him passing the ball. So I'm going to look towards the over on the team total. I'm seeing 25.5, 26 as far as their team total here. Like I mentioned, whether it's against Toronto, whether it's against Edmonton, whether it's against BC, Hamilton's giving up points against everybody. But overall, when you're looking at some of these, I recommend taking a look at team totals in the CFL if you can find it, and make sure you look around, because you might not have, luck finding it with the first book you check, especially in America or somewhere else, but second book, you might not. Third book, you might find a winner. And if you want to bet these big spreads, I'd recommend looking at those team totals, and some of these teams that are struggling, you can look towards the under on their team total as well and not worry as much about a big point spread like we saw a couple weeks ago where it opened up at minus 16.5. Those are just big point spreads that I don't really want to worry about, especially with the backdoor covers that you mentioned, Andy, happen all the time in the CFL. So for tonight, we'll take the team total over 25.5 for the Ottawa Red Blacks against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Friday Night Lights football here.
Love it. I'll be tracking the Toronto Argonauts, undefeated ATS. They are just covering machines. They win big. I kind of like taking them in the first half to kind of, like you said, the backdoor covers are just like way too easy in CFL. So I've been looking at some of the first half spreads. So great stuff, Andrew. Real quick, tell everyone your promo code again and what you have up for this weekend.
Yeah, promo code AM7 takes $30 off a 1-week pass. We always talk about how jam-packed these weekends are, especially in a month from now with NFL, NHL, NBA, college basketball. Once that gets going in a few months, you want to get these week passes, these 3-day passes. One best bet up in UFC, 5% play going in the CFL, and start things off with me tonight with a best bet on the Ottawa and Hamilton game as well in the CFL. Andy, Matt, always good to be here with you guys.
Thanks, Andrew. I will give out UFC card. I really like this one. My gosh, I started looking ahead, Andrew, to next week's card. Brutal. I may not have any plays on next week's card. So many last-second replacements and bad fighters fighting other bad fighters. But this week, I think it's pretty gettable. There is a prop parlay that I really like. It is Stephen Thompson versus Michelle Pereira will go the distance. Look at our
It's just
graphics. All right. So what happened was our graphics team put up a graphic that has a fight that isn't taking place anymore. So we fixed it. That is our graphics team fixing
First
it.
class.
And I was not aware. Well done. Well done. All right, so Stephen Thompson and Michelle Pereira, it's the first leg of the parlay. That fight is going the distance. Stephen Thompson has one fight since 2016 that's gone less than 3 rounds. And Andrew, you'll remember that fight well. That was the Conor McGregor broken leg fight. That was the only time that Stephen Thompson has had a first round since 2016 when the other guy stepped backwards and broke his leg. I'm sorry, that was Dustin Poirier, not Stephen Thompson. But he's fighting Michelle Pereira. Michelle Pereira's had cardio issues big time, but he's managed them. He's figured them out. He's started off much, much slower. And what you've seen now is last 4 fights have all gone all 3 rounds. They've gone the distance. So Stephen Thompson and Pereira going all 3 rounds. I'm going to parlay that with Poirier and Gaethje will start round 2. I loved Gaethje's last fight against Fiziev. He was so patient and so methodical. And Poirier and Gaethje know each other very, very well. They fought years ago. Poirier, he's a beast, and so is Gaethje. And I think what happens is they feel each other out in the first round. I think it's going to turn into some kind of big-time brawl. I just don't think it's going to be a brawl early on. I think they're going to come out, try and just work jabs, figure out the speed and what the strategy is of each guy. Both guys are ridiculously tough. So in order to get a finish, it's just going to have to be, it's going to have to be an insane knockout in the first round. I don't see a submission. I don't see Gaethje getting submitted. I don't see Poirier getting submitted early. So if you parlay Stephen Thompson and Michelle Pereira will go the distance with Poirier and Gaethje to start round 2, that is around a -110 on DraftKings, and I love that play. So that's what I'm looking for in UFC. You can use the promo code PASS3, PASS3, get you a 3-day pass for the weekend. Matt, coming to you. ACC Media Day, please tell us if you learned anything juicy or spicy. I don't know. I've never been to one of those. So tell us a little bit what it's like and what you've kind of learned. And then we're going to go into the best bet with you for an MLB prop.
All right. By the way, also, I kind of want to echo what Andrew said about team totals. I love team totals in general, college football team totals, baseball team totals, because as we've kind of gone on in this industry, I've just learned why not have less controlling factors? Why not just have one team involved, one unit involved, whether it's the offense, whether it's this team's defense against another team's offense. So why have all these things involved in a bet when you could just take, Ohio State's team total over or, Saskatchewan's team total over, whatever it is. So I echo what he says about doing that, because I've found more and more that I'm doing that, especially in college football, where almost half of my bets are just team totals, because I don't want to have to worry about the other team. But yeah, so ACC Media Day, basically what happens is I do my radio show from there, and we get to about 8 to 10 minutes with a whole bunch of topics and a whole bunch of players, coaches. Basically, it's just an opportunity to ask a lot of questions before the season begins. The thing that I learned the most, and it's something we all kind of know already, it's Clemson and Florida State and then everybody else. There is a large gap between 1 and 2 and then the third team. And the third team could be a whole bunch of squads. I mean, I really like NC State this year. I talked to their quarterback, Brennan Armstrong. He's got a chip on his shoulder after what happened last year in Charlottesville. He played poorly. He didn't fit well in the offense, and now he's going to be reunited with his offensive coordinator, who he had 2 years ago and had one of his best years. So I really like NC State this year. I think NC State's going to be really good. Everybody's kind of focusing on North Carolina because of Drake May. It's going to take some time for Drake May to get used to all his new weapons there. So I think that's rather interesting. Of course, everybody always talks about Miami, what's going on with Tyler Van Dyke and what's going on with Miami, who once again always brings in the best coordinators and the best players, and sometimes they don't succeed. And then you've got the bottom teams, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Boston College. I almost felt bad. I talked to the Boston College coach, and there probably was zero media from Boston covering Boston College. There were no radio stations there. I don't think there were any beat reporters there. So I felt kind of bad that Boston College is irrelevant, essentially, in the city of Boston. So talk to him. But, yeah, unfortunately, the two schools in my state, Virginia and Virginia Tech, together they may equal like 8 or 9 wins because it could be a very long season for those two. So did a lot of interviews. You can find them on my radio station's website, espnrichmond.com. But really enjoyed getting some inside information on a conference that's near and dear to my heart.
Awesome stuff, Matt. Poor Boston. I actually saw that on media day that nobody was asking them questions or showed up. I was like, oh man, that has just got to be a brutal feeling. So, Matt,
I have a question for Matt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a quick question to Matt? I'm curious, and this is, betting related a little bit, but is it hard for you, like as someone that does radio, but also you're a bettor and a handicapper and you do sports betting shows, to not in the back of your head ask some of these guys questions that might benefit you specifically betting wise? Like, I feel like it might, I know you've been doing this for a long time, Matt, but I'm sure a lot of it, you said, inside information, some of that stuff does help your betting, but certain things prop wise or whatever, do you ever get stuff that immediately you realize, okay, this could actually help me this year with my betting immediately?
Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to come out and be like, so over 200 yards passing, what are you thinking, quarterback? Like, I'm never going to do that. But I think it's an opportunity to ask, hey, what's the game plan look like this week? Is there more runs? Is there more passes? Do you see? And even then, they don't give you that much because everybody thinks that everybody's listening to each other on the radio and things like that. But there are questions that you can ask that certainly I would be able to be like, hey, let me take this information. Like, hey, who looks good in practice? Who is doing well with regards to this? Last week you had a bad game. Are you looking to play better this week? So yeah, there are questions that I can ask. I know, what was it last year? Somebody asked one of the coaches about their win total or asked them about something, and the guy came out and laughed because unfortunately, gambling is now a part of all these sports. But I have questions I can ask that will help me without actually specifically being like, well, what do you think about this? And with regards to a prop.
Yeah, don't ask them like, how's the team look? Over under 6.5 wins? I don't know. Just pull that number out of thin air. What do you think?
How often will you be going for it on fourth down? Let me know. Are you going to be going for it a lot?
Matt, we're going to get to the best bet. We're going to move to MLB. We haven't talked to MLB today. Some stuff coming out. We got trade deadline coming up, so a lot of things are going to change. So I want to get into MLB a little bit more next week. But you got a prop for our best bet. Again, tell everyone what you have up at sportsmemo.com and what is our Prop It Up bet of the week.
Yeah, we're looking forward to college football. There's still a deal up on my page, $300 reduced for the season, up over 150 units the last 3 years. Best on both websites, Sports Memo and WagerTalk. So certainly we're focusing in on the college football. Baseball's still there too, but we're just really getting ready for the college football season. So looking forward to that. And yeah, if Shohei wants to keep hitting home runs, that would be fantastic. I got a 20-1 ticket on him to win the home run crown. So that would be awesome if he would continue to do that. All right, so best bet for today. So pretty much the three of us could get 5 strikeouts against the Minnesota Twins. If you look at what they've done since the All-Star break, 9 of 11 right-handed starting pitchers have had 5 strikeouts or more against the Twins since the break. Brady Singer, who has been a terrible pitcher, he's coming off 9 strikeouts against the Yankees, so I'm feeling good about him. He had 5 strikeouts against the Twins in Minnesota back on April 30th, and that was in 2 2/3 innings. So if you do the math, that's 8 outs. He got 5 strikeouts of those 8 outs. So I'm going to take a shot here on Brady Singer over 4.5 strikeouts. Anytime I can get a decent number with a pitcher against Minnesota or Seattle or some of these other teams that strike out a lot, we're going to take a shot on the over. So Brady Singer over 4.5 strikeouts for the Kansas City Royals.
Love it. Give us a thumbs up, guys. Don't forget to leave a comment for an NFL player that you would like us to break down next week. Thanks so much, Matt Josephs at sportsmemo.com, Andrew McGinnis at wagertalk.com. I am Andy Lang at wagertalk.com. Let's have a great weekend. Good luck on all your bets, and we will see everyone next week on Prop It Up.